I am Dr. Laura Moreno, and in this video, I want to talk about a very common and exhausting problem that many people quietly struggle with: waking up multiple times at night to go to the bathroom. If this is happening to you, I want you to know something important from the start. This is not just about drinking too much water at night, and it's not something you have to accept as normal. For many people, nighttime bathroom trips are the result of how the body handles fluids, hormones, circulation, and nervous system signals in the evening, not simply how much they drink before bed. And there is a very simple routine done around 6 p.m. that can help reduce these trips when used correctly and consistently. Before I explain what to drink and why that timing matters so much, we need to understand what's really happening in the body at night. Ideally, your body is designed to reduce urine production while you sleep. A hormone called antidiuretic hormone naturally increases at night, signaling the kidneys to conserve fluid so you can rest uninterrupted. But in many people, this rhythm is disrupted. When that rhythm is off, the kidneys keep producing urine at night as if it were daytime. The bladder fills, pressure builds, and you wake up. This can happen once, twice, or many times a night, fragmenting sleep and leaving you exhausted the next day. One of the main reasons this rhythm gets disrupted is poor fluid redistribution during the day. If fluids pool in the legs, abdomen, or pelvic area during the afternoon and evening, they re-enter circulation when you lie down. The kidneys suddenly receive more fluid and respond by producing urine. This is why many people notice that nighttime urination is worse after long days of sitting or standing still, or when legs feel heavy or swollen by the evening. Another major factor is evening nervous system overactivation. Stress doesn't turn off just because the sun goes down. If your nervous system stays in a daytime alert mode, the signals that should reduce nighttime urine production don't activate properly. Now, here's where the 6 p.m. routine becomes important. Around 6 p.m., the body is transitioning from daytime activity toward evening regulation. This is a window where you can send a powerful signal to the body that it's time to slow down, redistribute fluids, and prepare for rest. The drink itself is not magical. What matters is how it supports circulation, relaxation, and fluid balance at the right time. The routine involves a warm, mild herbal drink, taken slowly, not in large volume. The warmth is important. Warmth gently dilates blood vessels and helps fluids move out of congested areas like the legs and pelvic region. When fluids are redistributed earlier in the evening, the kidneys can process them before bedtime instead of being overwhelmed at night. A very effective option for many people is a warm infusion of chamomile with a small amount of ginger or fennel. This combination is not about sleep tea. It's about circulation and nervous system signaling. Chamomile helps calm the nervous system and reduces smooth muscle tension. Ginger or fennel supports gentle circulation and digestive movement, preventing abdominal pressure that can irritate the bladder. This drink should be taken around 6 p.m., not later. Taking it too close to bedtime defeats the purpose. The goal is to encourage the body to process fluids earlier, not add to bladder volume right before sleep. It should be a small cup, sipped slowly. Drinking it quickly or in a large amount can stimulate the bladder instead of calming it. Another key part of this routine is what you do immediately after drinking it. This is often missed. After the drink, light movement is crucial. A short walk, gentle stretching, or even standing and shifting weight for a few minutes helps move fluid out of the lower body. This combination of warmth and movement amplifies the effect. Many people sit down immediately after dinner and stay sedentary until bed. This encourages fluid pooling. The 6 p.m. routine works best when it includes some gentle activity. Another reason this routine helps is that it reduces evening stress signals. When you slow down intentionally at the same time every day, the nervous system learns a pattern. Over time, this pattern supports the natural rise of nighttime hormones that reduce urine production. Consistency matters more than perfection here. It's also important to clarify what this routine is not. It is not about restricting fluids aggressively. Dehydrating yourself does not solve nighttime urination. In fact, it often makes it worse by irritating the bladder and increasing urgency. The goal is smarter timing, not less hydration overall. Another mistake people make is cutting fluids too early in the day. If you don't hydrate adequately in the morning and afternoon, the body becomes stressed and may retain fluids later, worsening nighttime symptoms. Proper hydration earlier in the day supports better fluid regulation later. This routine also works best when evening salt intake is moderate. Very salty dinners increase thirst and fluid retention. That doesn't mean eliminating salt, but being mindful of heavy processed salty foods at night. Caffeine and alcohol also interfere with nighttime bladder control. Even if taken earlier, they can disrupt sleep cycles and urine production. Reducing or avoiding them in the afternoon and evening significantly improves results. What's encouraging is that many people notice changes relatively quickly when this routine is done consistently. Not overnight, but within days to weeks. Fewer awakenings, longer sleep stretches, less anxiety about going to bed. But there's an important nuance here. Nighttime bathroom trips don't always disappear all at once. Often they reduce gradually. Going from 3 times a night to 2 is progress. From 2 to 1 is progress. These are meaningful improvements. It's also important to understand that this routine works best for people whose nighttime urination is related to fluid redistribution, nervous system imbalance, mild bladder irritation, or pelvic congestion. If nighttime urination is due to other medical conditions, this routine can help but should not replace proper evaluation. Signs that you should seek medical assessment include pain, burning, blood in urine, sudden changes, or very large volumes of urine at night. This routine is about supporting physiology, not ignoring warning signs. Another overlooked aspect is breathing. While sipping the drink, breathing slowly through the nose and allowing the abdomen to soften enhances the calming effect. This further signals the nervous system that the active part of the day is ending. Many people drink while scrolling on their phone or watching stressful content. That counteracts the benefit. The body responds to rituals. When you repeat the same calming routine at the same time each evening, it learns what comes next. And this brings us to something very important. Nighttime urination is rarely caused by one single factor. It's the result of multiple small signals adding up. This routine addresses several of those signals at once. However, to get the full benefit, it's essential to understand what habits quietly sabotage this process. What common mistakes make nighttime trips worse without people realizing it, and how to adjust this routine based on individual patterns like age, prostate health, bladder sensitivity, or hormonal changes, which are all aspects we need to continue exploring carefully so this becomes a practical, personalized solution rather than just a general suggestion. One of the habits that most quietly sabotages this routine is what happens in the hours before 6 p.m., because the body doesn't suddenly change gears at night. Evening symptoms are often the result of what accumulated earlier in the day. For example, if most of your fluid intake happens late in the afternoon because you were busy or distracted earlier, the body has no time to process that fluid before sleep. Even a helpful routine at 6 p.m. will struggle to compensate for that pattern. This is why front-loading hydration, drinking more in the morning and early afternoon, makes the evening routine far more effective. Another common issue is long periods of immobility during the day. When someone sits for hours without moving, fluid naturally pools in the lower body. You may not notice swelling, but the fluid is there. When you lie down at night, gravity changes and that fluid returns to circulation, overwhelming the kidneys. In these cases, the 6 p.m. drink helps, but it works much better if the day includes brief movement breaks, even just standing or walking for a minute every hour. This prevents excessive pooling in the first place. There's also the issue of evening mental stimulation. Many people finish the day by watching intense news, working late, or scrolling content that keeps the brain alert. Even if the body is physically tired, the nervous system stays in a daytime state. When that happens, the hormonal shift that reduces nighttime urine production doesn't occur properly. This is why some people wake up to urinate even when the bladder isn't very full. The signal is coming from the nervous system, not the bladder itself. The 6 p.m. routine works best when it's paired with a gradual reduction in stimulation afterward. Lower lights, calmer activities, less screen exposure. These cues reinforce the message that the day is winding down. Another important factor is dinner composition. Heavy meals late in the evening divert blood flow to digestion and increase abdominal pressure. This pressure can irritate the bladder and prostate area, increasing urgency at night. Meals that are very large, very fatty, or very processed tend to worsen nighttime symptoms. Lighter, earlier dinners often reduce them significantly. Again, this is not about perfection. It's about patterns. Another subtle but important contributor is breathing patterns during sleep. Shallow breathing or mouth breathing increases nighttime arousal and can worsen nocturia. While the 6 p.m. routine doesn't directly change sleep breathing, calming the nervous system beforehand can improve sleep depth and breathing quality indirectly. It's also worth mentioning that temperature matters. Cold environments cause the body to constrict blood vessels and shift fluid centrally. If the bedroom is very cold, nighttime urination may increase. A comfortable, stable temperature supports better regulation. People often underestimate how many small signals affect nighttime urination. Another common mistake is assuming that if one warm drink helps, more will help more. That's not true. Volume matters. The routine is about signaling, not filling the bladder. A small cup is enough. More can backfire. It's also important to avoid pairing this drink with sugary snacks or desserts. Sugar increases insulin and can increase urine production later. If you enjoy something sweet in the evening, it's better earlier, not close to bedtime. Now, let's talk about expectations again. Many people want a quick fix because nighttime urination is so disruptive. But the body needs time to relearn its rhythm. The routine works by training the system, not forcing it. You may notice that the first improvement is not fewer trips, but longer stretches of sleep. Instead of waking every 2 hours, you may sleep 3 or 4 hours before the first awakening. That's a meaningful improvement. It's also common for improvements to fluctuate at first. One good night, one not so good night. This doesn't mean the routine isn't working, it means the system is adjusting. Another thing that often surprises people is that stressful thoughts about waking up to urinate can actually cause awakenings. Anticipation creates arousal. When you reduce anxiety around bedtime by having a routine you trust, the nervous system settles more easily. This is one reason routines are so powerful. They reduce uncertainty. It's also important to say clearly that this routine is supportive, not diagnostic. If nighttime urination is sudden, severe, painful, or accompanied by other symptoms like swelling, shortness of breath, or significant changes in urine volume, medical evaluation is essential. But for many people with functional nocturia, this routine addresses the root signals rather than just the symptom. Another layer to consider is age-related changes. As we age, the bladder becomes slightly less elastic and sleep becomes lighter. This makes us more sensitive to any signal. That doesn't mean nothing can be done. It means consistency matters even more. Younger people with nighttime urination often respond quickly. Older adults may need more time, but still see meaningful improvement. The key is understanding that nighttime bathroom trips are not random. They are the result of daily patterns interacting with evening signals. When you change those signals, fluid timing, circulation, nervous system tone, you change the outcome. And once you understand that, you can start adjusting this routine to your specific situation, whether your main issue is leg swelling, stress, prostate sensitivity, bladder irritation, or sleep fragmentation, all of which require slightly different emphasis within the same basic framework, something we still need to explore in more detail, so this routine becomes tailored rather than generic. When you start tailoring this routine to your specific pattern, the results tend to become more consistent. That's because nighttime bathroom trips are rarely a single issue problem. They're the final expression of how your body handled the entire day. For example, people who notice that their ankles or calves feel tight or heavy by late afternoon often have a circulation component driving their nighttime urination. In these cases, the 6 p.m. drink works best when combined with leg elevation for a few minutes in the early evening. This allows fluid to return to circulation earlier, giving the kidneys time to process it before sleep. Even something as simple as lying down with legs slightly elevated for 10 minutes after the drink can make a difference. It doesn't have to be extreme. The goal is redistribution, not drainage rituals. On the other hand, people whose main issue is stress-related awakenings may not notice leg swelling at all. Their bladder wakes them because the nervous system never fully downshifts. For them, the calming aspect of the drink and the breathing around it is far more important than circulation. In those cases, pairing the routine with intentional mental slowing matters. That could mean dimming lights, turning off stimulating content, or doing a brief grounding practice. The drink is a cue, but the environment needs to support the cue. Another group of people notice that their nighttime urination worsens after dinner, even if dinner isn't late. This often points to abdominal pressure or digestive irritation affecting the bladder. When the intestines are bloated or uncomfortable, they press on the bladder and increase urgency. For these people, choosing a dinner that is easier to digest and avoiding gas-producing foods in the evening can dramatically reduce nighttime trips. The 6 p.m. drink helps calm digestion, but it can't fully counteract a very heavy or irritating meal. This is why it's helpful to observe patterns without judgment, not to restrict, but to understand. Another important nuance is bladder training. Some people wake up to urinate because the bladder has become hypersensitive, not because it's truly full. This often happens after years of frequent voiding, just in case. The body learns what you practice. If you empty the bladder at the first sensation, day and night, it becomes more reactive. The 6 p.m. routine helps by calming signals, but awareness during the day also matters. Spacing bathroom visits slightly longer during the day, when appropriate, can reduce nighttime urgency over time. This should be done gently and safely, not by forcing retention. Another factor that interacts with this routine is evening posture. Slouching or curling up tightly compresses the abdomen and pelvis, increasing bladder pressure. Sitting upright with support or reclining in a way that doesn't compress the abdomen reduces this pressure. Small adjustments matter more than people expect. It's also important to address the idea of cutting fluids after a certain hour. Many people stop drinking completely after 4 or 5 p.m. out of fear. This often backfires. Dehydration irritates the bladder lining, increasing urgency and frequency. The body needs hydration to regulate itself. The goal is balance and timing, not deprivation. A small, warm drink at 6 p.m. actually reassures the system rather than stressing it. It says, "Fluids are available, but we're slowing down now." This reassurance is part of why the routine works. Another overlooked piece is salt balance. Too little salt during the day can paradoxically increase nighttime urination by disrupting fluid balance. Too much salt at night increases thirst and retention. Balance earlier in the day supports better nighttime regulation. Sleep position can also influence nighttime urination. Some people notice fewer awakenings when sleeping on their side rather than their back due to pressure changes and breathing quality. This varies, but it's worth noticing. What's important here is that you don't need to fix everything at once. The 6 p.m. routine is a central anchor. From there, you observe what enhances it and what undermines it. Progress often comes in stages. First, falling asleep faster, then longer sleep stretches, then fewer awakenings, then less anxiety about sleep. Many people give up too soon because they expect perfection, but improvement is the real goal. It's also worth noting that nighttime bathroom trips often create a cycle of fatigue, stress, and more symptoms. Breaking that cycle, even partially, can improve daytime energy, which then improves movement, mood, and hydration patterns, further reinforcing the benefit. This is why addressing nocturia often improves overall health more than people expect. As you begin to notice which factors matter most for you, the routine becomes less about following instructions and more about working with your body's signals. You stop guessing, you start responding, and from here, it becomes important to understand how to adjust this routine as seasons change, as schedules shift, or as health conditions evolve, because what works now may need slight modifications later, and knowing how to adapt without abandoning the foundation is what makes this approach sustainable rather than temporary. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future videos where I explain, step by step and without exaggeration, how to reduce nighttime bathroom trips by working with your body's natural rhythms. Share this video with someone who wakes up exhausted from frequent urination at night. Leave your questions or experiences in the comments and join me as we continue learning how small, consistent evening habits can dramatically improve sleep quality and overall well-being.